Hi everyone, good evening. Welcome to today's session. I see quite a lot of you already here. See 15 of us here now. Hi Jerry, I can see you here. Who else are here now? Yeah, Amy, hi Amy. Can I ask anyone who's new here? Can you just put in the chat box you're joining this for the first time? Can you please use the chat box to mention if you're here? Let me see if I can get the chat out. Let me just see this 1 second. Okay, chat. Hi Krishan, yeah, welcome. Hi Rajvin, hi Melissa. Melissa, first time, okay. You saw the message in Facebook, I believe. Give me a minute. Hello. Yeah. Yeah, hi. Hi Rajvin. Oh, first time, huh? Hi, Sagar, even welcome. Those first timers, I would like to welcome you as well as those who are joining us for the first. Who's here for regular at least your third time? Can I see a show of hands? Just put it in me so I know that you have been on my third class now, third week now, right? I think Jerry, have been here with me throughout, right? Jocelyn as well. Jocelyn, third time, huh? Third week.
Yep.
Okay, Jerry. Okay, Lata. Really, you missed two classes. Don't worry. I'll be putting you guys into the WhatsApp group, and you can join the WhatsApp group. I mean, it's totally up to you guys. I will not force you to do that. And then I'm going to give you guys the link. Let me see if I can get a link. Always have this challenge with getting the link here. Can someone here help me to copy the link and put it in the group, the chat here, so that y'all can just join? Hi, Kamala. So
Hi, everyone.
Yeah, welcome to the third day of, and today I'm going to speak on something which is something that I can say I'm also known for in my speaking career. Some of you who have heard me speak normally find that I tend to use a bit of, say, a lot of humor. How many of you here think that using humor is important for a speaker or trainer? Put in a yes if you agree with that. Okay, Kavita says important. Kavi, Arasu, Lily, Kamala, Zach, Krishan. Yes, it's not just to break the ice, Jocelyn. I believe if you want to engage people, you want to give people a break. You see, the mistake that most trainers tend to make is, of course, I will cover that. I mean, true. Having said that, I'll share with you all the right blend of using humor, right? It's not overboard as well. And it also depends on your audience. There are a lot of factors. Yeah. Okay. Jerry, thanks for sharing that. So those of you who are not in that WhatsApp group and you would like to join a WhatsApp group where you can put the updates there, you can click on the link that Jerry has just shared. So you people will be taken to that particular group. There are about 50 odd of us here, the group. And yeah, okay, Rajin, you say always yes. What humor does is it will break the monotony of a presentation. It's because people need a break, right? So that's what it does. We'll go into that in a while, more than that. Okay, next question is, how many of you find it a challenge using humor in your presentation? Put in a me if you're one of them who think that you're not humorous. So you say, oh, I'm naturally not humorous. And for me to be funny, it's not easy. Yeah. You know, the good news is something. You put Jack. Okay. Exactly. It should be natural and not acted out. Yes. Amy, I'll say yes and no. I'll tell you why I agree and disagree as well with you. Okay. You call jokes. Okay, I'll share with the authors about why jokes are not humor. Occasionally, you do that. All right. Okay. So let's see how many people here now. There are 26 of us here. So let's get started. Seems to be. All right. Let me just check if I can share the screen with you people. Yep. Now, see, this is my slides for today. Can all of you see it? All of you can see my slides, right? Again.
Yep.
Yeah, right. Good. Let me also get. You see, sometimes the chat box goes hiding behind the slide for some other reason. Okay, I got it here. Let me move it to the slide so that I can actually see. Okay, great. So today, welcome to day 3 or the week 3 of our Get Paid to Speak. I hope you guys are enjoying the session, and please feel free to stop and ask me any questions. You can put in the chat box, even you can unmute yourself, as long as there's not much interruption in terms of background noise. If you find yourself in a very noisy situation, then just put your questions in the chat box. So today's session is about using humor to engage. And you all agree, most of you do agree that humor is a very important aspect of presentation. In fact, if you all know NSA, National Speakers Association, it's the association where MAPS, Malaysian National Professional Speakers, is part of. And NSA is the forerunner, is the first association that was set up in US for professional speakers. It's not Toastmasters. Toastmasters is where you learn to speak, but professional speaking is where you can join the National Speakers Association. And the founder, Cavett Roberts, you know what is his famous saying was? He said, "You don't have to be funny unless you want to get paid." Is it very interesting? That means if you want to become a paid speaker and if you're not funny, then you can be assured that you may not be called to speak again. But of course, I'm not saying that you must be extremely funny. You don't have to be. And this is one of my audiences. As you can see, they're laughing and they are having a good time. And you know, good thing is when your audience is having a good time, you will also enjoy yourself. Don't you think so? And let me also share with you people a short clip of some people who have attended my training. Let me just share. Just give me a minute. Share that with you all. See if I can share. Okay. Now these are people who attended my Train the Trainer program. Can you all see my screen? Can you see the video?
Nope.
Yeah. Okay. Now I'm just sharing now, and I also have to let you hear the video, share the sound, right? Okay, let's watch. This is Dr. Kavita. She's a medical practitioner. She attended one of my Train the Trainer courses, and just watch what she has to say.
So this is my only course that I've been in my life where I remembered all my participants and colleagues' name. Till now, I remembered all the activities that I've done, and I actually look forward. And I must say this is also the only course where I did not even look at my time to see what time was going to finish or what time was going to be lunch break or any other breaks.
I found there's like many articles that say that Mr. Jaya incorporate humor in his class session.
Also goes out of the way to teach us about all the experiences that he had. This has been a really incredible experience.
You think that you know already everything about training session because you are a trainer, but no, there's like many things that I think I learned a lot.
This course has definitely brought out the confidence in me.
Okay, I just wanted to share with you all the part where they say it was funny, and as we saw, Dr. Kavita said that there's the only course she never looked at her watch to see what time was lunch and what time was tea break. Why do you think this happened? It's because of, let me just stop sharing. All right, okay. So I want to share this with you all. I don't consider myself a very funny person. That means I don't think that people who know me say, yeah, he's a joker or something like that. I'm not like that. Okay, I'm rather timid and a very introverted person. But if you hear what people said after my training, they said that they even read articles that I was funny, and she said I'm very funny. Okay, so which means what? Humor can be learned. You can learn to be a humorous person, and especially as a trainer as well. So I'll ask you this: when you are in front of an audience, is it about you or is it about the audience mainly? It's about the audience. Thank you.
It's about
Yes.
the audience.
Absolutely. This is where a lot of trainers or speakers who think they are very senior, I am very knowledgeable, I am this, I am that, or I got a PhD in this, or I have been a manager here, I have been a CEO of a company. People don't give a damn about that. You see, as long if you don't engage them, if you don't entertain them, if you don't entertain the audience, then you're going to lose them. Let's see. The question I want to ask you is, why would people want to listen to you? If you think that, because I'm a SME, it's a SME, right? Subject matter expert. So they must come to me. Unless you're really teaching something that is like rocket science and nobody else can teach, most of us trainers are not indispensable. Would you agree with that? If whatever subject you teach, there are more people teaching. Like for example, if I said leadership, there are probably thousands of trainers in Malaysia who can claim to be leadership trainers. So why you? Why would people want to engage you? And the difference you bring to the table is your experiences, your stories, and if possible, you can add humor. But then humor is like spice. Now, if you make chicken curry, for example, what makes the chicken curry tasty? Is it the chicken alone, or is it the spices that give it the flavor? Those of you who cook, even if you don't cook, I'm sure you know the answer to that, right? It is the what? Chicken or the spices? The spices, yes. Yes, thanks, Krishan. The curry, yeah. What makes the curry nice? If I were to put the hen that cooks, yeah, I know, but if I give any hen that cooks and I just give a chicken and I don't give the spices, the hen cannot do much, right? So, you see, the chicken is like the material that you want to deliver. You want to deliver the material, of course, the love. Yes, Shankar, I do agree with you, the love and all that. But then, if you were to follow a recipe absolutely as it is given to you, you can still cook, and it's still edible. You won't. The point I want to make is that, you see, the chicken by itself, if you just go and boil the chicken and give it to somebody, will people eat that? You just boil it or you steam it and you say, nah, here's a chicken. You just use a ketchup and touch. It's like this. Yes, it's disgusting, Christian, but let me share this with you. If somebody has not been eating for 4 days and he's in the desert, he's about to die, and you just boil a chicken and give it to him, would he eat it? It can be tasteless. He will eat it. Why? For survival. What I'm saying is, if you say my content is so good, or people really need to learn it, and you're the only person who is there to deliver that, then yes, you don't have to be interesting. You can just say, okay, all of you listen to me. This is it. That's what lecturers do, right? Isn't it? You know why lecturers can get away with that? Lecturers don't have to be interesting, because in your case, your audience have to feel what? Captivated. But in the case of a lecturer or a teacher, the audience is captive. What about us? Now, let me ask you this. Do you think your audience are like this, or they are like this? Are they captive or captivated? Or are the way you want them to be? See, you can captivate them by making it interesting. But you see, if you want to be captive, that means like, I have no choice, I got to listen. Like sometimes, some training, the bosses will say, you go for this. It's compulsory. There's some training which is compulsory, like HRDF, TTT, you people go for it. Some of you are HRDF certified, and you say, I want to become a trainer. I have to be there. In private universities, lecturers have to be interesting as students do rating. Yes, of course. Yes, I know, Kamala. But then again, some people struggle to be interesting, right? I haven't seen people, some lecturers who are from private universities are also, they are PowerPoint readers. Okay, yeah. Okay, like for us, we cannot get away with that. If you just read PowerPoint and you think you are a fantastic trainer because you have a lot of content, you know what the mistake that most trainers make is we tend to overdo on the content part. We tend to over deliver in terms, not over deliver as in doing a good job. You over deliver your content. Yeah, yes, of course. Many. Now you see, this humor part is applicable whether it is online or offline. Of course, online a little bit more difficult, but because you know why? In fact, today is my second day of a train the trainer course. Yesterday I did it offline, face-to-face in MCOP Mall. Today, PJ all shut down. So I had to take second day of training online, forced to do a whole day, So today I had a whole day of train the trainer, second day. And it was totally different for me. Of course I do online classes off and on, but the experience is very, very different. And for me to be humorous was a bit challenging, but try our best to do that. Your friend, why can't he join? Should be able to, but 1 second. Maybe you can send them the flyer that I put in the WhatsApp group. Can maybe ask them to use scan the code, also QR code also can. Okay, my question to you is, you did and never mind, it's okay, then I will just have to share the recording with them. This is being recorded. Okay, question to you is, why use humor? You can take this down. And by the way, this was put together by me. You cannot find this. You can Google this. You can't find it. I came up with this thing based on HUMOR. What do you think H could stand for? What would being humorous make your audience feel? Starting with an H. Make a guess. Yeah, fantastic. Yes, you make them happy. So you might ask me, but why must my audience be happy? Do you all agree that as a trainer or a speaker, we are also about to say, haha, okay, he's also okay lah. Why do you agree that as a trainer or speaker, we are also, in a way, a salesperson? How many of you agree with that we are also salespeople? Okay, why are we salespeople? Why are we salespeople? Because we are selling our ideas, aren't we? Exactly, we are selling our ideas. If you are bad in selling your ideas, people are not going to buy. And what does a great salesperson do to their customers? Would they make them upset or make them happy? Yes, we are selling our knowledge, absolutely, skills and knowledge. So a happy customers buy. Sad, upset, angry customers won't buy. Even people who are neutral won't buy. Unless your product is so essential. You're selling rice. Yes, of course. But if you're selling a software, you're selling, let's say, insurance, or you're selling cars, or you're selling houses where people can go to anywhere and buy from anybody. There's so many people out there selling insurance. Why should I buy from you? But if you make me happy, you make me smile, the chances are higher that I'll buy from you. Would you agree with that? Now, next thing is O. What do you think? Oh, sorry, U. Spelling HUMOR. What do you think you probably could represent? Anybody wants to try? In humor, the first one, H is happy. Unity in laughter, understanding. Absolutely, Kavita, you got it. Understand. Yes. What do you mean by understand? You see, there are things that we share with our participants which might be a little confusing. Especially, you share a concept. For example, if I were to say, ladies and gentlemen, would you agree that we humans are creatures of habit? People go like, yeah, right. But they don't really get the gist of what I'm trying to give them. They don't really know that my angle to why I'm saying we are creatures of habit. But let's say I were to tell a story like this. I said, and but it's a true story. I was taking a flight on AirAsia one day, and as I was getting into the cabin. There was this lady dressed in red and white, the air hostess of AirAsia, the way she dresses. And she was greeting me, and like all of the passengers, and she said, "Hi, good morning, welcome to AirAsia." I said, "Hi, good morning." She said, "Can I see a boarding pass, please?" So I said, "Here it is." She said, "Oh, 24C,
Yeah.
right this way, sir."
ரிலீஸ் பண்றவங்க ஆன்லைன்ல இருக்கு.
Looks like I have to mute everybody here. So as the lady was saying this way, so I felt a little insulted. You know why? There's only, in AirAsia, there's only one way. There is no business class or not AirAsia X. I was just flying to India. There's no AirAsia X. So if I were to go this way, I should be a pilot. So I just stared at her, gave her a smile. I was a little upset though, but I was just trying to cover up and said, miss, if I were to go the other side, I should be the pilot, shouldn't I be? She gave a very embarrassed smile. She said, "Well, yes, sir." But if she had told me, if you had gone right there in a third row from the last, on the left side of the aisle is your seat. If she had done that, yes, SOP, that's what I mean. But the SOP can be silly. So she has been doing it without giving it a thought. So when I told her, I said, "I know this way, of course, right?" She's like, "Yeah, so sorry, sir." Oh, I said, if you had told me which side of the aisle is my seat, or how far away, then I don't have to search for my seat, isn't it? She said, "Yes, of course." So you see, ladies and gentlemen, doesn't this prove that many of us are creatures of habit, that we do things as Zoe says, SOP, SOP, without really giving much thought about these SOPs, right? So let's say I'm teaching creative thinking. I could use this to transition into, ladies and gentlemen, many of people don't think. Just like George Bernard Shaw said, 2% of the people think. 3% of the people in the world think they think. 95% would rather die than think. Can you see that? So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here, hopefully, by the end of my session, to make all of you to be in the 2% who really think. and not just follow blindly. Can you see that? You see, humor should be used with a purpose. Don't tell jokes. Now, let me ask you, ladies and gentlemen, is there a difference between telling jokes and using humor? Put in a yes if you think so, or if you think, oh, telling jokes is humorous. You know what they say? Jokes are for amateurs, humor is for professionals. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to be a professional speaker, then don't tell jokes. And not all jokes are funny. Who said that? Who said that? Radhi says not all jokes are funny. Even if they're funny, it's not a good idea to tell jokes. Telling jokes to break the ice, humor to captivate the audience. You hate internet jokes, okay? Humor has the intelligence aspect to it. Well, yes. Some jokes can also be intelligent, but I give you an intelligent joke. But then you see, there's still a joke. If I were to say, Winston Churchill, you guys know Winston Churchill, right? He is supposed to have said this to the other parliamentary who's a woman who never get along with Winston Churchill. She once remarked to him, he says, "Sir, if you're my husband, I'll put poison in your coffee." Winston Churchill smiled and said, "If I were your husband, I will gladly drink it." Okay. Pun, yes, to a certain extent, it's also an intelligent joke. Like what I just did, it's actually a pun. But the best kind of humor is your own experience. That's the best. Of course, you might say, but well, wasn't the lady sarcastic as well? If you're my husband, I'll put poison in your coffee. You think that was nice? Sure, right? In fact, by the way, there's also one more thing which Winston Churchill was always drunk. And he was in Parliament, and this lady went up to him and said, "Sir, you're drunk." And Winston Churchill said, "And you are ugly. But tomorrow I'll be sober." Can you get it? What he was saying is he will still continue to be ugly. I will be sober tomorrow. So you see, this is all very British humor. You know that. It's very subtle, but you must get what he's saying. Isn't it? Yeah. In fact, yesterday I was using this humor. You know what? I was showing some statistics in my class. And then I said this. I said, "Ladies and gentlemen, do you know, according to research, 65% of all statistics are false, including this one." Did you get that? The members of my audience, they didn't get it. Then they thought for a while. They said, "You get it, right?" This is why say what? Elon Musk. What do Elon Musk do? Okay, it's the same joke you mean? I didn't know. Sorry.
The one about 65% of statistics are false. I think it was during a conference with Jack Ma.
Okay, all right. Okay, I didn't know that. I heard it somewhere and I just used it. But you see, sometimes you don't have to be original. Nobody's going to say, "Oh, you use that." It's humor is okay. Joke is not good, because joke people will normally not a good one. It's like one of those one-liners can be used as well. Okay, next one. What do you think HUM could probably stand for? Anybody wants to guess? H is for happy, U is for understanding, and M would be mimic. Mimic how? Method? No. What's the difference between jokes and humor? Okay. I like that question. Jokes are something that you tell for the sake of making people laugh. Humor is used to help people to understand a concept. It's something for you to stress a point. And that's what humor is. And humor doesn't have to be a joke. It can even be a look you give. It could be a gesture. It could be an activity you give. Memory, absolutely. It's not mindfulness. Memorable. What I mean is, you see, people have, especially adults, have very short-term memory. Their short-term memory becomes less effective. But doesn't mean that you cannot train it. You can, but generally, kids have better long-term memory and better short-term memory as well. Short-term memory for them is better. For adults, long-term memory is better. So what happens is when you stress a point or you teach something, people tend to forget. So when you were to share something funny and people remember that funny story or that whatever funny you mentioned there, and the point that you're making will be riding on that humor. So it becomes more memorable. And another thing is, when out of, let's say, 10 speakers, you're the only one who was funny, and let's say people are sitting there half dead in a conference and you come and refreshingly you are like making people laugh, you're entertaining them, you know something, you will stand out. Wouldn't you agree? Have you gone to any conference and after lunch you're already almost like dozing off because everybody is a PPR? You know who's a PPR? Who knows what's a PPR? Let me write this out. PPR. Who's a PPR?
PowerPoint reader.
Exactly. A PowerPoint reader. Do you find that majority of trainers and speakers, they are PPR? Can you say that? So if you just read your PowerPoint, people are not going to be engaged. So what you need is stories and humor that makes you okay. Sadly, yes, exactly. One thing could be because of they're nervous. There could be many reasons. So you say, Zoa, you say because they are nervous, could be one reason. Another reason could be because they don't give much thought to it. Zoe, okay, right, okay. Thanks, Zoe. Sorry for that. If you do not prepare well enough and you don't have stories to say, you don't have humor pre-planned, and the only thing you can do is that you read PowerPoint, and that will lower your value. Yeah, absolutely, Shankar. Okay, very good point there. I like that, because how do you practice humor is you practice on people. You know that? Okay, what do you think O stands for? Memorable, M is memorable, and O could be for what? Make a guess. Original? Well, it can be original, yes. Good point. I never thought of it that way. Yes, of course, it could be original, but yeah. But I had something else in mind. Okay, let me give you a hint. When you first go and stand in front of an audience, yes, it will make you outstanding, of course. When you stand in front of the audience, what do you think the audience state of mind is? Ovaltine. They could be in three states, right? One, they are neutral. The other, they could be very positive. They are like waiting to learn from you. Then there are some people who will be negative, right? They are looking at you, okay, and they are sizing you up. They're thinking, is this fellow going to be interesting?
How about open, sir? Open.
Open what?
Open-minded.
Absolutely. You open their minds. Okay. So you open their minds because, you see, whether you like it or not, when you are in front of an audience, you just come onto the stage. You are a stranger, aren't you? And what do? You have to build, you want to make them like you.
Rapport.
Yeah, you have to build rapport, that's right. But you see, do you agree that the mind is like a parachute? It only works when it's open. Can you imagine? Can you imagine somebody who jumps off a plane and his parachute doesn't open? That will be his last jump, isn't it? So that's why we say if you want people to buy your ideas, you got to open people's minds. Just like if you're a salesperson, if your customer or your potential customer has got a closed mind, do you think it's easy for you to sell? Let's say he sits very crossed, he crosses his arm, and he's looking at you expressionless, and you are telling him all your ideas, why my product is the best in the world, blah 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 blah. You're going to have a hard time, right? You can't sell when the person's mind is closed. So that's why you have to open people's minds. So the final one is R. Let me share with you people also some ways which I have used to open people's minds. It's Rajwin just said that actually. It's Rapport actually. Relief. Yeah, it also relieves people like, what a relief, this guy is so funny. So at least he's not reading his PowerPoint. Am I right? It can be relief as well. Yeah, thanks as well. Yeah, Zach. Oh yeah. Relevant can also. That one is like how your humor should be, Janata. Your humor should be relevant. Here is like why. You get my point? You want to, the reason why you need to use humor is because you want to build rapport with them throughout. Let me give you an example. Let's say you're traveling in a train in a compartment, and let's say like in India, I used to travel in India where the compartments, people have got, bunks, right? People either sleepers. So in the daytime, in night you sleep. Sometimes, in India, you travel like 3 days, 2 nights is very normal, taking those kind of journeys. So let's say you are in this compartment and then people are sitting and chit-chatting. And let's say a few guys are there and one of them happens to be cracking a lot of jokes and he's like so humorous, so funny. Do you agree that that person will be probably the most popular person in the group? And if you're sitting next to that, you will be inclined to also laugh. Zoe, don't you agree that people who are humorous generally are very popular? Okay, when you watch a movie, I don't know about Chinese movies. In Tamil movies, we tend to like the humor, right? The comedy, isn't it? Well, introvert people, but not necessarily. I mean, Zoe, it depends, you see, whether they hate boisterous people and all that. You see, like Jackie Chan, he's become so popular, isn't it? For example, why do you find Jackie Chan so interesting? It's not just for his kung fu, isn't it? Because he's also very humorous. He makes blunders, and we all can laugh at him. And he's like the reluctant hero kind of person. He doesn't want to be a hero, but he's forced to be a hero. But so that's what makes people. His face is funny already. Yeah, okay, that's one thing. So we build rapport with people like that. Let me share with you how I would tell people this. For example, I say the reason I started teaching memory skills. Let's say I'm going to teach you. Some of you know that I do memory skills a lot. I'm known for that. When I teach memory skills, I share with my audience this story. I say, how I ended up teaching memory skills is because when I was doing accounting in college, my lecturer, Mr. Ng, was probably the worst lecturer in the whole universe, I'd say, because he was so boring. And he used to have a habit of using okay too many times. He will always say, okay, class, take your books. Okay, what about you? Okay, the assignment I give you, you finish or not, okay? And you know what I'll be doing? I'll be sitting in class, I'll be counting the number of okays. And because I was counting his okays, my exam results were not okay. Now, can you see what I've just done? I've actually used a play of words here, a pun. Because I was counting his okays, my exam results were not okay. And this is how we can actually, and this is a true story, by the way. It's not a made up thing. Me and my friend used to count the number of OKs. Mr. Ng is coming, let's count. And I was failing my law paper. And anyway, that's why I went and looked for answers, and I found a book in the college library called a memory book, which I used, and then I passed my law. So I was, the Mr. OK is coming, yeah, okay, something like that, sure. And another thing is, what you can do is, people always ask, where can I find humor? My next slide, I'm going to share with you all. Okay, anybody wants to share anything about their experience in being funny? Anybody? No? No problem. Okay, let's move on. You can always, yes, I just did once, yeah. There's 7 ways on how to use humor. Let me just go into this. You can take this down. The first one is, remember this, that you're not a comedian. Just now someone was saying, I think it was Jocelyn who said, not going overboard, don't go over. Yes, of course. You see, for a comedian, laughter is their main cause. They gotta make the people laugh throughout. If you're Harith Iskandar or you're Russell Peters and you go on the stage and nobody laughs, that's the end of your career. Am I right? But for us as trainers and speakers, it is like the spice. You add just to add to make it interesting. You don't say, oh, I must make my audience roll on the floor laughing. ROFL. You don't have to do that. You only have to do is add some spice of some appropriate humor. I'll share with you what's appropriate humor. So you don't have to worry that, I'm not a stand-up comedian. You don't have to compare yourself with Comedy Chord, or you don't compare yourself with Harith Iskandar. No, these people are, and that's all they do. All their life is about telling joke after joke. You are not that. Okay. Next point. Use self-effacing humor. What do you mean by self-effacing humor? Anybody? Don't use humor. Don't poke fun at your audience. Self-deprecating, yes, Zoe. Make fun of yourself, not at other people. Because you know what? You make fun of yourself, nobody's going to feel offended. Let me give you an example. Let's say I used to be very fat, let's say. I said, ladies and gentlemen, you know something? I used to be so fat. I used to be rolled onto the stage. Okay. If I want to say, maybe I'm going to teach people how to lose weight, for example. And maybe a lot of people sitting there are fat people. I say, I was so fat. But if there are fat people there, are they going to feel bad about it? Because you're not poking. For example, but if there's one fat person, they say, if you're so fat, you can roll onto the stage, you're asking for trouble. If I was bald and I come on the stage and say, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you can be a shining example like me. But if you see a bald person in the room, don't say, how would you like to be a shining example like him? I used to, okay, right. Yes, use humor that does not insult anyone. Okay? And use appropriate humor. What kind of humor do you feel is appropriate? Or maybe the question I should ask the reverse is, what kind of humor is inappropriate? What kind of humor you shouldn't use? Can be risky. What are they? Racist, yes, of course. Yes, that's what I mean. What is offensive, Zach? Yeah, avoid those 3 things, right? One more thing, let me add. Politics, absolutely. But then, if you touch on politics in a tasteful way, it can still be okay. Do you get what I'm saying? Okay, give you an example. Last time, during when Najib was still PM and he was in the thick of the 2.6B controversy. 2.6 billion. You all still remember that, right? Forgotten already. Can remember, right? Yeah. You know, sometimes I'm the audience. I'm just saying. I say, ladies and gentlemen, I was so poor. I only had 2 ringgit and 60 cents in my pocket. You know, and everybody will be laughing. Ha ha ha. But then you know what? I thought the best way for me to open an account was in M-Bank. You know why? Sometimes money will come in, you don't know where it comes from. Now, so people will be laughing. But I'm not saying Najib had 2.6 billion coming into his account from some sheikh in Saudi Arabia. I didn't say anything like that. I just said, you know, guys, are you planning to open a bank account? Let me give you a piece of advice. M-Bank is the best bank. So I don't say any like the, oh, yeah. So, I mean, you see, you might say that's political. It's not, I'm not really pointing fingers and see, but what I mean by political is like, you know, the rocket, the red rocket, it fly and never reach the moon one. Don't use that kind of humor, please. You could have somebody from the AP sitting there and you're asking for trouble, isn't it? And don't say all women are bad drivers. If you're talking to all men crowd, even that is not a good idea. I would not recommend that. Okay, don't use anything that is gender biased. It's not a good idea. And of course, off color, it's definitely a no-no. Take it from me. Experienced, embarrassed, kena heckled, I'm the one. But luckily, I learned my lesson way beginning of my speaking career, about 22, 23 years ago. I went onto the stage of about 200 people, and you must know, sometimes let me share this with you. Certain humor can be appropriate for certain audiences, you know, but for certain audiences you cannot use them. Would you agree with me? There's no such thing as this humor I can use everywhere. Would you agree with that? Okay. See, what I did was, it was a very solemn church group, 200 old people sitting there, you know? And I went and said, it's not a totally vulgar kind of humor, huh? It was slightly off color, if you know what I mean. It can be taken either way. It can be taken as off color. It can be also taken as non-off color. You heard those kind of jokes, right? Those kind of like two ways of looking at it, lah. And then you can turn around and say, "Why are you so dirty-minded?" You know that kind of jokes. You know, I went up and I just shared that, and initially I got some laughter, and then you know what kind of look I got, like as if I'm a national traitor or something. I tell you, if they had a choice, they would have not here. I can't share that. They would have thrown their shoe at me. It was that bad. I'm too embarrassed. I won't. Maybe privately, La Zoe, I'll send it to you. But I'm too embarrassed to even say it. Okay. Anyways, it's a long humor. Would you believe that joke actually? No, I'm not saying that. I'm not in a situation to say that now. Okay, if you know what I mean. My kids are around. Okay. The point is that this particular joke actually got me first prize in a humorous competition. But at that particular scenario or that situation, it was not suited, if you got what I mean. So be very careful. What can work with a particular audience may not work. For example, when I'm saying certain jokes to adult audiences, I don't use it on kids because, you know, I train kids and adults as well. So, and what I use on kids, I don't use on adults as well. Let me share with you an example of what would work on kids. I asked them a question. Students, how many of you have a bad memory? For example, you go to an exam, you look at the question paper and say, the same question that I studied just 2 weeks ago. But wait a minute, I cannot remember the answer. Has it happened to you? They say, yeah. And I ask them, when would you remember the answer? They say, after the exams, and they will laugh. And I say, you know what? You know what many students will do? That's the time they become religious and they remember God and say, God, please help me. I need you now. I say, why? God is your office boy, is it? Just when you need it, he'll come to you and give you the answer. Here's the answer. I say, some students are very smart. They will write on the exam answer sheet, dear examiner, I actually know the answer to this question. Only problem is I cannot remember right now. I hope you don't mind a few marks. P.S. I come from a very poor family, sir. But you see, that would work on kids, but it would not work on adults because it's not suited for them. But for adults, I'm talking about memory, but I will use a different kind of humor. I say, ladies and gentlemen, how many of you have walked into a room to take something and then you stand there and you scratch your head? What is it I came here to get? And then you go back to your chair. Oh yeah, I need my notebook. And you pick up your notebook and said, wait, what did I want my notebook for? Same topic, different humor. Can you see that? So you have to really think about what kind of humor you're using and suit it to the right audience. Now let me share with you what would work here in Malaysia. And this is a real experience that happened to me. I was in India to give a presentation. And then I want you guys to tell me what is the point that I might want to make with this particular story, humorous story. Say, I was in India for a presentation, and I was going to talk about memory skills in a college in Tamil Nadu. And you know how I was introduced? The Indians have an accent, right? They will say, the man who said, today, ladies and gentlemen, we have with us Mr. Jayaraman from Malaysia. He's going to give you people a talk on memory skills. And let's all welcome him. And I suggest all of you take down as much notes as you can and ask him any questions you have. So now I would like to welcome Mr. Jayaraman. Can you please come? So I went there. So I said, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for having me here. And I'm going to share with you all how memory can be improved and how you can use these techniques to help your students, blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And you know something? And I said something humorous and nobody laughed. That's the worst thing, right? Nobody. And this particular humorous line, I've never had anybody not laugh. I can't recall what it was, but I normally test the waters. And since nobody laughed, I got a little embarrassed or a little bit awkward, as your Christian said. So I asked them, ladies and gentlemen, are you all with me? One guy at the back says, sir, not sir, sir. We don't understand what you're talking about. Your English is very funny, sir. You got that? My English is funny and theirs is not funny. So I had to quickly think on my feet and I say, okay, now I am going to talk like you people. How is that? And one fellow at the back said, sir, very good, sir. I said, look, I cannot go on like this for 2 hours. All right. So I asked them, do you all speak Tamil? He said, of course we, sir. We are Tamilians, sir. Of course we speak Tamil. I said, look, why don't I just do the whole 2 hours in Tamil and finish it off and solve the whole problem? What do you think I was trying to emphasize to the audience when I shared this experience? Try and guess what do you think I was trying to say. Just make a guess. I will use this story to lead on to a point. Can't figure out? Want me to tell you? Adaptation? Yes, of course. It can be adaptation. But yeah. So exactly. Zoe, you got it. I always say this, when you're in a foreign land, you are the one with the accent, not them. Okay? Yeah, you're near Romans too. Absolutely, yeah. You are the one with the accent, not them. Don't go and tell them, hey, why your accent so funny? Can you make Tamil jokes? Why not? Of course I can. But I can't use this there because then I would be the funny one there, right? How dare you insult us? I can use that here because I'm not there. Can you see that? So you find the appropriate place, not just the appropriate humor, but also the appropriate audience for that. Like, for example, let's say, do you know I sometimes make jokes about the Chinese? I also make jokes about the Indians. I make jokes about the Malays as well. But if I were to make fun of one race and I don't touch the other two, I could be in trouble. So if I do is I make sure I make something funny about all three, then I'm quite safe. Are you with me? But I don't suggest you do that, but you must do it in good taste. Like, for example, I said, you know how I say, I would say, you know how the Chinese people speak, you know how they say, kita orang Cina, kita orang halibusa wingayam, kita angka itu olena, itu perempuan tuang lalam itu sungkai. Then people will laugh at that. Then I would say how the Indians would speak English or speak Malay. And then that way, because if I leave here, they say, oh, you're insulting the Chinese. I said, no. I said, you know how my dad used to speak Malay, and I would speak like how my dad used to speak Malay. So that way, then I'm safe. And another thing is, you say you cannot make jokes about religion, yes? Correct? But in my case, I sometimes make jokes about not other people's religion, about my religion. And I get away with it because it's my religion. Others cannot say anything about it. So if I know my religion in and out, I think I can make a joke about it. And because I know something, sometimes, people practice religion wrongly. Agree? Yes or not? And you highlight that. For example, let me give you an example. Remember I said that some kids, remember I talked about the kids when they say, when they're at exam hall, they pray to God. I say, and these Indian boys and girls, they will pray and say, God, next Taipusam, I'll come to Batu Caves and break 100 coconuts for you. Then I asked them, why? God needs your coconuts, is it? Huh? And you need to, okay, I understand in our Hinduism, we break one coconut for a reason. To break 100 coconuts, why for 100 marks you need 100 coconuts, is it? And the kids will go, ha, ha, ha. But I can get away with that. But if you're a non-Hindu, you say that, I can come and I say, hey, what do you know about religion? Because you don't know the in and out of it. You get what I'm saying? So again, it is very sensitive. Yes, if someone else says it, it can be offensive. I say it, I am not offensive because I know that is a wrong practice. Even if it's a Hindu guy come and ask me, I said, what do you know? So far, nobody disputed me because people know that it's actually a wrong thing to do. Right? Okay. Selanjutnya, don't be sarcastic. What is sarcasm, by the way, ladies and gentlemen? Saying one thing and meaning another, yes? Correct. Winston Churchill. The British are well known for that. Do you know something? You guys know that I'm licensed for Tony Buzan, under Tony Buzan, yes? You know him, right? Do you know one day he was sitting in one of my presentations, and not that he was coming to listen to me, not that. Probably about 15 years ago, before I became a licensed instructor for mind mapping under Tony Buzan, I was actually doing an opening of the Mind Festival in Utah. Yes, I will, Jocelyn. I'm keeping you in mind, definitely. And I was doing a presentation, I was doing a memory demonstration for the opening. And guess what? Tony Buzan was sitting there. He was, of course, a guest of honor. I was just the opening speaker. Mine was like 15 minutes presentation. I did a demonstration and came. You know what he did? He walked up to me and Tony Buzan, he passed away, y'all know. He said, very interesting, in his British accent. I know a thing or two about memory as well, and he has written books and books, many books on memory. And it's like, say, he's trying to tell me, one or two things about memory. This is being sarcastic. Not really sarcastic, right? In a way, it's like dry humor. So I said, I'm sure you do, sir. And I smiled. And he gave, they walked away. That's British. Americans are slightly different, I know. And let me know, something? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And by the way, do you know sometimes things you say can be funny and it may not be funny in other people? Let me share with you a story. This one, I'm not using my story, but I'm using someone else's story. There was one guy by the name of Ron or Don Ansler. He is an author he teaches public speaking, and he's written books on public speaking, and he's American. And he went one day he went to UK to speak, and he used to be a janitor, people who clean buildings. And he was in UK, and he thought that the word janitor is not used in UK. You all know that, right? In UK, people don't use the word janitor, just like people don't use the word elevator. They use lift. So British and Americans have got like certain words they don't use the same word. Yeah, road versus road. Yeah, okay. So and then he wanted to mention that he used to be a janitor, but he thought like, okay, he used to scrub floors, right? And he said to the people in a big audience of British people, he said, ladies and gentlemen, do you know at one time before I wanted to mention that anybody can be a speaker. I used to be a scrubber. Because you scrub floors, right? I used to be a scrubber. Do you know what's a scrubber in England? You didn't know? A scrubber means a lady of the night, if you know what I mean. No. It's a lady of the night, if you know what I mean. And everybody went like, really? That is quite a shift of career. Yeah, thanks, Jocelyn. Yeah, that's what it means. I didn't want to use that word. But, can you imagine people there going like... So I tell that to say that sometimes you can miscommunicate. You might be saying something, but people get a different idea. Next one. Use borrowed humor. Sometimes you don't have to come up with your own humor. You can watch YouTube videos, you can watch funny comedians and adapt it. Of course, the best is still your own stories, if you can, your own experiences. Now, some people ask me, but where do I find funny stories? Do you know, ladies and gentlemen, anything that you experience today that is frustrating, 1 or 2 or 5 years from now, it will look funny. Like my experience in AirAsia, where the lady told me, this way, sir, I was not happy. I was not amused. I was irritated. But today I can look at it and laugh about it. Say, you know what happened? This happened. Can you see that? So whatever happens, anything that's frustrating, it can be seen as interesting. Let me give you an example of borrowed humor, because this is credited to Socrates, but I say this way. I say, I used to wonder. My friend came and asked me this question. He said, Jaya, do you think I should get married? I said, why not? Either way, it's okay. So what do you mean? Only 2 things can happen. You can get a good wife or you end up with a bad wife. Either way is good. You say, really? Yeah, if you get a good wife, you'll be happy. Right? And what if I don't get a good wife? then you become a philosopher. So either way you gain. Wait, how do I mute everybody? I just have this. Please mute yourselves, guys. Can ah? Tolong ah. Okay. Terima kasih. Okay. Need to leave. Okay, Ken, no problem. Don't worry. Ken, no worries, sir. No worries, sir. Okay, next point is not all humor has to be said. What do I mean by this? Can I share with you all? Okay. Can I share with you all a video where the humor using body language is one, or even doing an activity can be funny? I'll just share with you guys a video of something that I did. Allow me to share this. Just give me 1 minute. I hope I got the right video. Okay, I'm going to share. Wait a minute. Let me just give me 1 second. Stop share, and then I share another one here. Okay, just watch this. I don't know whether you can. Okay, you're seeing this. Watch this, huh?
And he told me, you cannot do this, you must say,
Okay. Can you see that? What I did there was, where's my slides again? Give me a minute. I did not tell a joke. All I did was I just did an activity, and you saw the kids all what happened. This is in University Tunku Rabana. There were 1,000 students there, and I just did one activity where I got them excited, and then they were like all laughing about it. So you see, sometimes is humor doesn't have to be said. Wait, let me look at my slide again. Okay, I got it. Yeah. So you don't have to say it. Sometimes it's just your body language. Okay, last thing I want to share with you is embrace the silence. What do you mean by embrace the silence? Do you know that humor, there's a way of delivering it. Sometimes some things you cannot just say it like that, if you know what I mean. If you just say something like, I can't find the chats now. It's suddenly okay. It can also be acted right. Yes, you can. Facial expression. Yes, absolutely. Denny, your expression can make it funny. Sometimes you all know, right? You know, Mr. Bean. Mr. Bean doesn't talk at all. But do you know it was one of the most popular TV series? I think it's probably the best known, most recognized face in the world on television. Don't you think so? I go to India, I talk about Mr. Bean, they laugh. I go to any part of the world. Charlie Chaplin is for the older generation, Jocelyn. You can talk to the young kids, they will ask you who's Charlie Chaplin. Okay. See, what Mr. Bean does is, Rowan Atkinson, he makes you laugh with his body language, his expression, the way he moves, the way people laugh. So you don't have to, humor doesn't mean you have to tell a joke. Now, embrace the silence means when you deliver a punchline, if you're telling a funny story, you pause before giving the last part. Let me give you an example. This is also something that happened to me. When I talk to students, I tell them, You know, I was once giving a talk in one of the schools in Klang, ACS Klang. And what the school teacher gave me was the last two classes, the G and H class. It was Form 5 G and H class. And I'm going to teach them how to learn, how to study, how to do well in exams. Can you imagine facing the Form 5, the bottom of the bottom classes? And I said, these are the classes that teachers will pray before they go in. Lord, please save me. You know, those kind of classes. And people normally laugh when I say that. Then I said, you know, when I went there and I asked these kids, how many of you want to do well in your exams? Not a single student put their hands up. Then I asked them, hey, if you're not interested in studying, why do you come to school in the first place, wasting people's time and money, your parents' time sending you here, your teacher's time, stay at home and play computer games. Better for you, right? And then one student put his hands up and, sir, don't say that. I said, why? I'm an outstanding student. I said, really? Okay, that's good. You know what he said? The teacher always makes me stand outside the class. Oh. Then, just when I thought I heard it all, another student said, don't listen to him, sir. I am a school runner. I said, oh, that's good. At least you're good in sports. No, sir, not good in sports. I always run away from school. See, you see how I delivered the humor? You see, I gave a pause, then I went into saying I always run away from school. I always stand outside the classroom. So this is what I mean by another thing about embrace the silence is when you deliver something funny or when you said something funny and people are laughing, just wait. Yes, that class was pretty good. Zach, I normally tell the story. You know why? What is the point I will try to make when I say this is to say that everyone has strengths in them, but they might be using it in the wrong way. You see, these kids are not dumb. They're not stupid. I said they might be even more brilliant than the A-class students. The A-class students, only thing they can get is good grades. But these kids, they can think so sharp. They're so fast. But they're just using it in the wrong way. Yeah, not books pass, yeah, absolutely. True, I do agree with that. Very creative. But if they use their creativity in more productive ways, they could probably achieve great things. Isn't it? Okay, question is, where can you find humor? You can find it in so many places. Nowadays, it's so easy. When you watch a movie, you can look out for something humorous. Look for things that happen in your life that can be frustrating today. Of course, not everything frustrating you say can be funny, but even some things that you know in a conversation, you might say something which is witty. And later on, you try to look for it. I forgot it. So always make note of it. Make note of something that either somebody in your family or your friends say, or you say it yourself. But later on, you come think of it. What is that? Oh, I can't get it. Those kind of things are like gems. Those are your raw material that you can add on to. And another thing is always try out your humor. If you're going for a very important presentation and you want to try out new humor, I suggest you don't do it. Actually, you try it in smaller crowds and then you refine it because you will know which humor works, which doesn't work. Of course, different crowds, different. Yes, I know. But generally, let's say you're speaking to a rather similar kind of audience, but let's say one is a very big audience or a small audience, you can try that out on small audiences. You can try it with your friends and see and practice it until you get it well. How to be witty? Witty comes with practice. It's just like if you ask me, for example, you know George Bernard Shaw, he said this, someone asked the question, what's the difference between a man and a woman? George Bernard Shaw stood up and he said, I can't conceive. How's that? Isn't that very witty? Did you get it? That is British humor. Dry, witty, yes, Zoe. Some people who won't get it, they don't laugh, right? They're like, yeah lah, cannot conceive what? But you have to know conceive has got two meanings. Then only you know. So this is what I mean by, of course, certain humor, if I'm talking to small kids and I say this, nobody's going to get it. But if I talk to adults, if I'm talking to people who speak good English, they have got good command of the language, like people like you people, I'm sure you get it. But not for everyone. Okay? And sometimes certain humor can be as simple as, I used to say this, I said, I used to be so shy, probably the shyest student in my class, that I suffered from a disease called the Hugo Disease, UGO. And people say, what's UGO? It's called the Hugo Disease. Means when the lecturer asks for a volunteer, and I even know the answer, I look at a boy or girl next to me and say, Hugo lah. I said, that's the Hugo Disease. I said, oh, there's a Hugo Disease. I said, yeah, I suffered from Hugo Disease. But I said, my classmates who didn't suffer from this, they were all the I go kind, but I was you go kind. And you know something? My audience, many of them remember this funny story. And later on, when I asked them, I need a volunteer, they will all say, you go lah. You know, and that sort of creates, the humor continues. Because it becomes an inside joke, and it's something that I said there, right? So can you see, how you can actually engage audience? Your audience become more closer to you, because you see, in any training, I always say this. My mantra is this: don't aim for perfection, aim for connection. Okay, or you can put the other one: don't aim for connection, not perfection. Aim for connection, not perfection. And humor and stories is a fantastic way by which you can create that connection, that rapport, making people happy. And if you remember the HUMOR, H was for, you make people happy because you want a happy audience. You want them to understand a complicated concept. You can use humor for that. And then you become more memorable. Your topics also become very memorable as well. Your points become memorable. Okay, Kamala. And you can open people's minds. Closed minds can be opened with humor. And R is for building rapport, because you want to have rapport. Remember I said aim for connection, not perfection. And this is a way by which you can do that. So, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to leave you with this. If you were to look for ways to be humorous, you can be, because it is not an inborn trait. It is something that can be trained. It's a trainable skill. And I would say, if I can do this, if I can be humorous, anybody can be. Any questions for me? Or anything you want to share? We have a few more minutes to go.
Sir, I want to ask you this question.
Tell me.
I want to ask you this question. What if you're presenting, like, say for example, right? What if you're training on a humorous topic, and your audience is not laughing, like what you said? Then what would you do?
Okay, it's like this. If you're not talking on a humorous topic, I don't think you're talking on a humorous. Probably you want to say that you are adding humor, you're using humor, people are not laughing. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, adding humor.
The first thing you can do is to explain your humor. And to say, you all didn't laugh, wasn't funny. Don't say that. That's the worst thing you can do. Or trying to break down the humor for people. Actually, what I really mean is, don't do that. Because you see, as a speaker, people don't come expecting you to be funny. because majority of trainers and speakers are not funny. They are there to present the facts.
Yeah.
So if you are humorous, you are a refreshing change. So if you use humor and if don't expect everybody to be like ha 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 ha. Few of them, some could be smiling, or maybe your humor is not appropriate for the audience, or maybe you didn't say it in the right way. There could be many factors. It's okay. Just go along. Don't stop there and say, oh my God, what is happening? Don't. Just go.
Mr. Jaya, what happens if someone in the audience is a heckler?
And okay, let me share this with you. It's like this. I kena that in 1996. You know what happened? I was, first time in my life, I'm presenting to a strangers group. It was a college students. And you know, college students are probably the worst group to speak to. Of course, today I'm very comfortable doing that, but that time I had about 50 or 60 people there, and I had to speak in Malay of all things. Not that the Malay is fantastic. And I was going to speak on mind mapping. So I was literally shivering behind the lectern, and they could see it on my face. And someone, my friend told me, always tell a joke. So I had prepared some jokes. The mistake I made, and I went there and I rolled off one joke. Guess what response I got? Most of them were like, ha, 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 ha. And it really made me so jittery. And I told myself, I'm never going to do this ever in my life again. This is so stressful. But little did I know that this is going to become my bread and butter. To answer your question is, that time I was totally inexperienced. Today, if someone is, okay, Zoe, can you also share with me, when you say heckler, are they making fun of you, or are they like purposely like pretend to laugh, or something like that, or irritating you some way?
You see, right, as an academic myself and a trainer myself, right, once upon a time as a lecturer, I did encounter hecklers, or rather heckler, a particular student who's just trying to gain attention and make himself the class clown.
Okay.
So what I just told him is, today in this class, we have found ourselves a class clown.
Okay, and what happened?
And then he got quiet for a while. Oh. But the next day, the same thing happened.
Oh.
Okay, I'm not sure how you handle this kind of...
Thank you. I also got that like probably 2 years ago in Sunway University. You see, the thing is, what happened was, generally boys, seldom you find girls doing that. These boys, they want attention. They have some kind of craving for attention. That's why they do that. You know that. And I was doing something. I was doing a demonstration, and this fellow was trying to be funny. He was saying certain things, very inappropriate words and all that. But I just ignored and went along. And when the students felt that I was giving so much of value, and this fellow was actually irritating and getting in the way, there were about 150 students. Some students actually turned to him and said, shh. And you know what? I didn't have to do anything. He went quiet by himself. He didn't want to be shooed by his classmates or his lecture mates again. So sometimes it's like this. Sometimes we just ignore them. Of course, if it gets too irritating, let me give you my case. I used to run camps in Genting Highlands from 2007 until about 6 years ago. So nearly for about 7 years or so, 7-8 years, I used to do camps in Genting Highlands. We take about kids who are 10 years old and above to a camp, a retreat for 4 days and 3 nights. They stay with us. So I was teaching these kids memory skills and mind mapping and all of these things like 4 days. One of those students, he came on the first day itself. I already knew that he's going to be a troublemaker. He had tore off his sleeves from his t-shirt. cut off his jeans, you know, thread hanging down, and he had tongue ring, a lip ring, and whatever ring, I don't know. And throughout the session, of course, I tell the students to be friendly with me and be nice, and I'm very nice with them. And this boy was going on, and he was like trying to get attention of everybody, and really at my wit's end. And we finished at 10 o'clock at night, by the way. When I finished, I called him aside. I said, everybody was gone. His name was Joshua. I said, Joshua, come here. Form 3 student. And I tell you, I gave him peace of my mind like I have never given anybody in my life. I really gave it to him. Actually, I'm not like that, but that time I really lost it. I said, I'm going to issue a check for 2,000 ringgit, which is the cost of my camp. I'm going to give it to you. You get the bloody hell out of my camp today. Right now. Okay, never mind. You go and sleep. Tomorrow morning, first thing, take the bus, go down to KL. I don't want your stupid money. Tell your mom. I'm going to call her right now. Down you go. And I literally meant it. I said, get out of my camp. And you know what? The next day he came back, exemplary student for the next 3 days. So Zoe, it might work. Certain treatment work on certain. Of course, in my case, I can because I was in control. Okay. Any other anything you want to ask me?
Do you think what you had done then? Do you think it was right?
It was. You see, it's like this. It was not only disturbing me; he was disturbing all the students. You see, every student paid 2,000 ringgit to come to my camp. A parent sent them there. I don't want one idiot spoiling everybody. And I had to every night control him. The students are looking at me. And I only got 4 days, and 4 days is very tight. We got outdoor, indoor, team building activities, this, that. And if he were to be doing something funny, let's say in the team building activities, can you imagine? We are doing the high ropes and all of that. Let's say he go and do some weird things there. Can you see, Zoe?
Yeah. So you took him aside, you didn't reprimand him in public?
No, I didn't. I took him aside. And I can't tell you how I scolded him. I told him, you know what I told him? I just tell you one thing I told him. I say, for all I know, Joshua, when in maybe 10 years' time, you'll probably be a drug addict somewhere in Chowkit.
You'll be surprised. This kind of smart alert kids, they will normally succeed. You'll be surprised.
They may I know. I wasn't meaning him to be that. I wanted to give him a slap, literally, with my words. Are you with me?
Yes.
Then I told him, I said, look, then I said some things which are very emotional for him. I said, do you think of your mom? Your mom is, and she's not a very rich woman. She struggled to pay the 2,000 ringgit. And this is how you repay her. Good luck. Get the hell out of here. And he gave him a shock. So sometimes
you need to put people in their place.
Exactly. It's not just so much about him. I was thinking for the other students. It's not fair, right? Zach, yeah, you said it's not fair. He might think he's a smart ally. And in fact, other things, he was even smoking in the camp. We found all those things. So, I mean, that's not to be taken lightly, right? From 3 kids. Because we tell them, you come here, means discipline is discipline. How can I go on? I can. And the funny thing is, you know what? At the end of the year, the mom called me and she said, Mr. Jaya, I want to tell you, Joshua, I said, what happened to his PT3? He said, he passed all his papers. I said, pass, no A's. He said, no, don't worry. I never expected my son to pass any paper. I said, oh, really? I said, yeah. And then she asked me a very interesting, what did you do to him? I said, why? She said, he was so reluctant to come to your camp. I said, oh. And when he came back, he asked me, Mom, when Mr. Jaya does the next camp, send me can and all. What did you do to him? I was laughing inside. I said, really? Okay, that's a surprise. So apparently it worked on him. My candy was giving him that kind of
hard candy.
Huh?
Hard candy.
Hard candy, something that give him a right smack on your face.
You mean throughout your training career, you only have one kid like that? What about adult audience?
No, adult audiences are generally, they won't be like that, because you see,
they will know how to save face lah.
That is one thing. People they're paying their own money and they're coming. Why would they want to?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, they're coming there to learn. What? People are paying me money. You want to make a fool of yourself? Hey, hello. I'm not losing it. You're losing lah. Am I right? So I never had that. Except some people will be rude lah, in a way. Like in Singapore, 2019 December, I was there to do a talk for a group of parents, 40 parents there. And there was this one guy who was sitting there throughout. Whatever I said, no response. So what I did is I just don't look at him, I look at the others who are more responsive. I mean, that kind of people will be there. Like whatever you say, like this, like cold face. Like I see, like deaf. Like that. No
response. Think they know better. They think they know more.
They might. They're a bit arrogant. And you know the Singapore crowd, huh?
Right.
They think they are like one step ahead of us, They think. Okay. To also answer that question, long ago, I had one doctor who said this to me. I was giving a short talk on memory at it's a Rotary Club, and then during the Q&A, there was this very famous doctor in Ipoh at the time, talking about 20 over years back. This doctor asked me a question. He didn't ask me a question, actually. You're supposed to Q&A. After I finished my 20 minutes presentation on memory and how to improve your memory, he said, Mr. Speaker, I didn't even say my name, no, Mr. Speaker, you talk about all these memory skills and all that. The tone also very arrogant. Actually, I'm a medical doctor. I said, okay. I thought you were going to ask me some medical terms. I said, okay, oh my God. He said, I went to medical school in India. I see if anybody asking that. And I passed with flying colors. And today I'm a very successful doctor. So I patiently waited for the question to come. He said, I never used any of these so-called memory techniques that you talked about, but I still did very well. What have you got to say about that? Is that a question? I think there's more of the ego, right? You know what I told him? I said, thank you very much, doctor, for that very interesting observation. I said, the fact that you're a doctor and I'm not speaks volumes. You see, you're a doctor because you're super intelligent. So you don't need all these crutches that I needed. So my session today is more for the masses, the normal average people like me. So it's not for super brilliant people where God has endowed with a fantastic brain.
Then what did he say?
He kept quiet. I said, I hope I have answered your question, sir. Okay. He cannot say anything because I said, you're Superman. You're fantastic. What? Because he wanted that. So I gave him that so he cannot say anything. Like, the kid wants an ice cream. He buy the ice cream so he stop crying. So I look at it that way, like he's another grown-up kid.
What if an audience member asks you a question you cannot answer? You don't know the answer?
Okay, one very simple way is, okay, Zoe is like this. If it is a question for which you should, by right, you should know the answer, and you don't know the answer, I think you shouldn't stand there. You don't deserve a right to stand in front of the audience. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if the question is either very deeper than what you are supposed to cover, or it is out of topic, in which case I have had that many times. Sometimes I get questions by which are not really directly at your topic. So sometimes, okay, for example, leadership. I don't teach leadership, I just give you a leadership example. Let's say you teach leadership and someone asks, hey, I had this problem and with my subordinate, I really do know how to solve it. So one easy way is like, interesting. How many of you here else have a similar experience? You ask the audience. a few hands might go up. Okay, let's hear from them. How did you handle it? So they will say some ideas, right? So you can maybe 2 or 3 ideas. You can even pick the best one and say, yes, I would have said that. That is one way lah. So you use some Tai Chi. But if it is something that you related to your topic and you really can't answer that, you can I frankly will say, I have not encountered this situation before, but let me see if I can get back to you on that. That's how I would
Probably
say.
You can ask Mr. Google.
You could. But then you cannot do it on the spot lah. Then people say like, no, you can't do that, right? Like there was once this lady who asked me a very interesting question. You see, I was talking about the brain, memory and all that. So there's a Malay lady, she said, she asked me a question. She said, last time I take my 2 kids for a science exhibition in Petronas science, what do you call it?
Science discovery.
And then she said that during this science exhibition, they said your mind, you can control things, And then my 2 kids sit and they were like focusing, and then the ball bearing start to move on the railing, How, Mr. J? I don't know how the ball will roll on the railing, man. And that's not related at all to what I'm teaching. I'm teaching mind mapping and memory skills. Just because the word is mind, they thought I will know everything about it. I said that is metaphysical, which is beyond the scope of what I'm sharing with you guys today. And frankly, I don't know the answer to that. And there are things, Zach, which are quite amazing. Like I was in China in 2019. I was in Shandong, Jinan. Jinan was the city, and it was in Shandong, where I saw these kids. They blindfolded, they can read a book. I'm sure you've heard of blindfold reading. How do you explain that?
Because they have memorized it already. What they have memorized the whole book before.
No. I wrote out this kids. I can show you. It's on my handphone. The video where I wrote out a message. They would not know what message I write. What it's in English. Of course, they spoke in very Chinese kind of English, but they read my message. I wrote there, I love the food in China. The people are also very nice. I love to come back again. And they're blindfolded. I say, now this girl, I say, you touch and read it. She touch, she can read it. It's called midbrain activation. There's a science to it. There's some things which are unexplainable. Let's put it that way. You know that even, okay, don't talk so much. The COVID virus, there's so many theories going on about it. You know that, right? Some say it's because of the 5G lah. Some say it's not a virus lah. So what have you got to say? And some of it are so convincing. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for the time and having been here in such an interactive audience. If you have any doubts, you can always WhatsApp me. You can also put in the group, or just you have my numbers. So you can just WhatsApp me as well. So, okay. So I'll take leave and wish you all the best and see you next week as well.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, no homework. I'll put in the group, guys.